If you've made it this far, thank you for joining Ava and Noah's journey. Now I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. Let's see how far this story has reached. And if you enjoyed today's tale, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss tomorrow's special episode. Trust me, it's one you don't want to miss. Until then, stay cozy, stay kind, and keep believing in love. Ava had never stepped foot inside a VIP suite before. At 28 years old, she worked part-time as a dishwasher at one of Los Angeles' most prestigious hotels. Her days were usually spent behind the scenes, scrubbing plates and stacking trays, far from the luxurious lives of the guests who dined upstairs. But that afternoon was different. A server had called in sick, and the manager, clearly desperate, asked Ava to step in as a private waitress for an exclusive guest on the top floor. Nervous but curious, she agreed, not knowing that a single moment in that room would change her entire life. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime, and Ava stepped into a hallway that looked like it belonged in a movie. Everything sparkled. The floors, the chandeliers, even the air seemed lighter, scented with fresh peonies and lavender. She held tightly to the silver tray in her hands, trying to ignore the pounding of her heart. As she entered the VIP suite, she paused, awestruck by the view and the elegant decor. Crystal glasses shimmered under the warm lights, and a small table in the center of the room held several wrapped gifts, a bottle of champagne, and something else, something that caught her eye immediately. There, resting on a velvet cloth, was a breathtaking diamond ring. It was large but not gaudy, set in rose gold with a brilliant center stone that sparkled like fire under the light. Ava, ever curious and admittedly a little reckless, looked around to make sure she was alone. Just for a second, she told herself. She slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. She smiled, admiring how it looked on her hand. "Wow," she whispered. "Whoever owns this must be really lucky." But when she tried to take it off, it wouldn't budge. She pulled gently, then harder, then twisted her finger to the side, but the ring remained stubbornly in place. Panic crept in slowly. She rushed to the bathroom, ran cold water over her hand, tried soap, even lotion, but nothing worked. And then the door opened. Ava turned around wide-eyed as a graceful older woman in a designer black dress stepped inside, followed by a tall, handsome man in a bathrobe. His hair was damp as though he had just stepped out of the shower, and his expression shifted quickly from confusion to irritation as his eyes fell on her. The woman's gaze landed directly on the ring. "Oh," she said, almost breathlessly. "You must be the fiancé." "What? No, I'm not. I swear I didn't mean to," Ava stammered, holding up her hand in a desperate attempt to explain, but the woman didn't hear her protests. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. "Finally," she whispered. "Now we can begin planning the wedding." Ava's heart dropped. What had she just gotten herself into? Ava stood frozen, heart racing, her eyes darting between the elegant older woman and the shirtless man, now staring at her like she'd committed a federal crime. The ring, still stuck on her finger, glinted under the chandelier like it was mocking her. She opened her mouth to explain, but no words came out. Her throat was dry, her palms sweaty. This couldn't be happening. I didn't steal it," she finally managed to say, her voice shaking. "I was just cleaning. I saw it on the table and I just tried it on. I was going to put it back, I swear." The man, Noah, stepped forward. Tall, sharp-jawed, and clearly annoyed, he grabbed her hand to examine the ring. "You tried it on, seriously? Who just puts on someone else's engagement ring?" "I didn't think it'd get stuck," Ava snapped, then immediately regretted, raising her voice. This wasn't just any guy. He was obviously rich, important, and now very angry. Noah groaned, rubbing his temple. "This is ridiculous. My actual fiancé bailed on me tonight, and now this." He looked over at his grandmother, Evelyn, who was grinning like she'd just won the lottery. "Well," Evelyn said cheerfully, "maybe it's fate." "Fate?" Ava echoed, blinking. Evelyn stepped closer. "My dear, you have no idea how long. I've prayed that Noah would find someone real. That ring never fit anyone, not until you." Ava's mouth fell open. Was this woman serious? Noah laughed dryly. You can't be serious, Grandma. She's a waitress. She's perfect, Evelyn replied with a smirk. And more importantly, she's here. Unlike that flaky model you were supposed to marry. I'm not marrying a stranger, Noah muttered. I'm not marrying anyone, Ava added, panicked. Look, I'll pay for the ring if I have to. I just want to go home. But she couldn't. Not yet. Later that evening, after multiple failed attempts to remove the ring, including oil, butter, and even a call to the hotel's in-house nurse, Noah pulled Ava aside. His tone had changed. He wasn't just annoyed now, he was desperate. All right, listen, he said, sighing. My grandma's health isn't great. She's been waiting for this wedding for months. My company's investors are expecting a press release about the engagement. If we don't go through with this, even just temporarily, it'll be a disaster. Ava narrowed her eyes. What exactly are you asking? Pretend to be my wife for 1 year, he said. I'll pay you $50,000. You'll live here, play the part, and after a year, we'll go our separate ways. Ava blinked. Are you insane? Probably, Noah replied. But I'm also serious. She should have walked away. She should have laughed in his face. But the ring was still on her finger, and something in her gut told her. This was just the beginning. Ava never expected pretending to be someone's wife would be this complicated. At first it was awkward. She stayed in the guest wing, attended a few business dinners with Noah, and smiled politely at investors who believed they were madly in love. Noah kept his word. He paid her weekly, treated her with respect, and to her surprise even made her laugh from time to time. But as weeks turned into months, the lines between fake and real started to blur. They shared morning coffee, inside jokes, even quiet walks in the garden when Evelyn wasn't around. It wasn't part of the deal. Yet neither of them stopped it. And then, one night, everything changed. Ava sat in the doctor's office, nervously tapping her foot on the cold tile floor. She hadn't been feeling well for a few weeks. Nausea, fatigue, dizzy spells. Deep down, she already knew. But hearing the words out loud made her head spin. You're about 8 weeks pregnant, the doctor said gently. Ava stared blankly at the sonogram screen, her heart pounding. This wasn't part of the plan. There were no rules in the contract for this. Later that evening, Ava tried to work up the courage to tell Noah. But as she stepped into the hallway leading to his office, she froze. There, standing in front of the door, was a tall, stunning woman in a sleek navy dress, her expression unreadable, her posture rigid. I'm here to see Noah, the woman said, her voice cold and confident. You must be the one. Wearing my ring, Ava blinked. Excuse me. I'm Dr. Selina Hart, the woman said, extending a perfectly manicured hand. I was his fiancée, before you came along. Ava's stomach dropped. The next few minutes were a blur. Noah emerged, surprised but not entirely shocked to see her. Apparently Selina had vanished months ago, right before the wedding. No warning. Just a text. Now she was back and furious. Ava wanted to walk away, but fate had other plans. A week later, she was assigned a new OB-GYN. It was Selina. The tension in the exam room could be cut with a knife. Selina acted professional, but her eyes burned with something darker. Jealousy, rage, maybe even regret. Ava didn't trust her, but Noah insisted she was harmless. She's moved on, he claimed. She's just doing her job. But Ava wasn't convinced. One rainy afternoon, as she left the clinic alone, Ava stepped off the curb and didn't see the car speeding around the corner. A hard shove from behind threw her out of harm's way, but instead of relief, Ava looked up to see Selina standing over her, trembling, eyes wide. I didn't mean to, Selina stammered, but the look on her face said otherwise. That night, Ava was rushed to the hospital. The baby was safe, but nothing else felt safe anymore, and for the first time since this fake marriage began, Ava wasn't sure who she could trust. Ava stayed in the hospital for 2 days after the incident. The doctors insisted it was precautionary, but she knew better. The fear in Noah's eyes said everything. He hadn't left her side, not once. He barely slept, barely spoke. He just sat there, holding her hand like he was afraid she'd disappear if he let go. When she was finally discharged, everything felt different. The mansion was the same. The staff was polite. Evelyn was her usual charming self, but Ava felt like a stranger in her own life. The ring still sat on her finger, only now it wasn't just a symbol of a contract. It was a reminder of how quickly things had gotten out of control. And then there was Noah. He was quieter, gentler, less guarded. He brought her snacks at midnight, held her when she cried, listened without interrupting. Eva tried to keep her guard up, but the truth was she had fallen for him. Somewhere between fake smiles and shared secrets, she had crossed that invisible line. And judging by the way Noah looked at her now, maybe he had too. One chilly evening, a week after the hospital scare, Noah asked her to take a walk with him. The garden was quiet, lit only by soft string lights and the moon above. She followed him past the fountain, down a cobblestone path lined with roses, until they reached a small open area she hadn't noticed before. And then she froze. Hundreds of candles flickered in the shape of a heart. Flower petals covered the ground. At the center stood a violinist, gently playing a melody she recognized immediately, her favorite song. Her breath caught in her throat. "Noah," she whispered. "What is this?" He turned to her slowly, his expression unreadable. "You once told me you never imagined having a wedding, that you didn't believe in fairy tales," he said softly. "But I do, or at least, I do now." Ava's heart raced as he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "Noah." He dropped to one knee. "I know how we started," he said, voice trembling slightly. "Fair deal, a lie, a ring you never meant to wear. But somewhere along the way I stopped pretending. And I think you did too. Ava, you changed my life the second you walked into that suite, ring stuck and all." He opened the box, revealing a new ring, simple, elegant, and undeniably her. This time no contracts, no deals, just us. "Will you marry me, for real?" Ava stood frozen. Tears welled in her eyes, spilling onto her cheeks before she could even nod. "Yes," she whispered, then louder. "Yes." Cheers erupted around them. She hadn't even realized the staff, Evelyn, and even her best friend Isla were hiding nearby. Fireworks lit up the night sky above them, and just like that, the girl who had once scrubbed dishes in the basement became a bride, this time not by accident, but by love. Marrying Noah for real changed everything. The mansion felt warmer. Their laughter echoed through the halls. Even Evelyn seemed softer, watching them with knowing eyes and a quiet smile. For the first time, Ava felt like she wasn't playing a role. She was the wife, the mother-to-be. The woman Noah chose, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. They spent their honeymoon tucked away in a lake house outside Napa, slow mornings with pancakes and sleepy kisses. At night, Noah read to the baby through Ava's belly, his voice soft, filled with wonder. Everything was perfect until it wasn't. It started with a letter. Ava received it one afternoon, hidden among baby gifts and congratulations cards. No return address, just her name on the front. Inside was a single sheet of paper, handwritten, "You're living the life that was supposed to be mine. S.H." Her heart sank. Selena. They hadn't heard from her since the hospital incident. After the investigation, she disappeared, lost her medical license, went off the radar. Noah had told Ava to forget about her, that they were safe now. But Ava couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. A week later, as Ava stood in the kitchen slicing fruit, she felt a strange sensation, dizzy, nauseous, then everything went black. She woke up in the hospital again. The baby was okay, but the doctors warned her. Any more stress could trigger early labor. Still, Ava couldn't rest. Something was wrong. Later that night, while Noah stepped out to take a call, a woman entered Ava's hospital room. It was Selena. She looked nothing like the confident, polished doctor Ava had met months ago. Her clothes were worn, her eyes hollow, but her voice still carried that sharp edge. "I didn't come to hurt you," she said. "I came to ask for your help." Ava sat up slowly, unsure whether to scream or listen. "My daughter's sick," Selena said, her voice cracking. "Leukemia, she needs a bone marrow transplant. And the father?" "He left, I'm out of options." Ava wanted to say no. She wanted to call security. But something about the desperation in Selena's eyes made her pause. Later that week, Selena returned with her daughter and 3 more children. Behind them stood Jordan, the man she once loved. Turns out Selena had given her children up during her darkest years. Now they were back, and somehow fate had pushed them together again. Ava and Noah did more than forgive. They helped. They arranged treatment, made calls, and helped Selena's family find a place to start over. It wasn't easy. Forgiveness never is. But Ava had learned something through all of it. Healing doesn't happen overnight. And love, real love, means giving people the chance to become better than their past. Months later, Ava gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Noah cried more than she did. They named him Liam James Carter. And as Ava rocked him to sleep with Noah's arms around her, she realized the life she had now wasn't stolen or borrowed. It was hers, fully, finally, and forever. And now that you've reached the end of Ava and Noah's unforgettable journey, I want to hear from you. What part of their story moved you the most? Was it the moment Ava said yes to a second chance? The heartbreaking twist with Selena? Or maybe the quiet strength Ava showed through it all? Every love story is different, and sometimes the most beautiful ones are born from the most unexpected moments. So go ahead, leave a comment below, and tell me what you felt. I read every single one, and your thoughts truly bring these stories to life. Whether you're watching from the US, the Philippines, or anywhere in the world, don't forget to drop your city or country too. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. And if this story touched your heart, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, because tomorrow we dive into another powerful love story, one you absolutely won't want to miss. Until then, stay kind, stay curious, and remember, true love always finds a way.